There are moments in life when you find yourself questioning whether the person in front of you is truly the right one. And I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. This applies to any deep connection with another human being. Friendships, business partners, mentors, or even those people who seem to have entered your life at just the right moment. But how can you tell if they are truly aligned with you? Carl Jung dedicated a large part of his life to studying the unconscious and how it shapes our relationships. For him, nothing we experience is mere coincidence. The people who enter our lives don't do so randomly. More often than not, they are manifestations of internal processes we have yet to fully understand. Have you ever felt an inexplicable connection with someone? Maybe you can rationalize it, but there's something about their energy, their presence, or their way of being that resonates with you on a nearly magical level. Jung would say that this feeling is a manifestation of synchronicity, a moment where the internal and the external align perfectly. It's as if the universe is sending you a signal that this person has an important role to play in your life. But how do you distinguish between a genuine connection and a fleeting illusion? This is where understanding the unconscious becomes essential. Jung believed that our relationships act as mirrors of our inner world. If you find yourself constantly surrounded by people who challenge you in destructive ways, drain your energy, or make you feel insufficient, it's not just bad luck. It's an invitation from your unconscious to look inward, to ask yourself what part of you is allowing or even attracting these dynamics. When someone is truly right for you, you will know because there won't be a constant struggle between who you are and who you feel you need to be. Truly meaningful relationships do not force you to betray your essence. You won't feel the need to hide parts of yourself, to mold yourself into someone else's expectations, or to force a connection that does not flow naturally. Instead, that person will make you feel seen, understood, and accepted. And not because they idealize you, but because their presence reflects the connection you have with yourself. Jung spoke about individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, beyond masks and social expectations. When you are on the path of individuation, you begin to attract people who are aligned with your truth, not because they magically appear in your life, but because now you have the clarity to recognize them and the courage to let go of those who no longer resonate with you. Think about it. How many times have you held on to relationships that deep down you knew weren't good for you? Relationships where conflict was constant, where you felt you had to fight for every small display of affection, where simply being yourself seemed to be a problem. This doesn't mean that the other person is bad or that you are wrong. It simply means there is a misalignment, a disconnect between who you are and what the relationship demands you to be. Before we continue, I want to take a moment to let you know that my book is now available. It's filled with advice and techniques to help you overcome emotional blockages and cultivate self-love. You can find the link in the description and the pinned comment. Now, let's continue. Jung reminds us that the unconscious is always seeking balance. If you spend your life chasing relationships that drain you, at some point, your mind and body will send you signals that something is off. Maybe you start feeling anxious, exhausted, or unmotivated. Perhaps you even experience physical symptoms, insomnia, unexplained aches, or constant fatigue. All of these are ways in which your being is screaming for change. That's why, when someone is truly right for you, you will know. Not because everything will be perfect, not because there will never be disagreements or difficult moments, but because their presence won't make you feel like you are in a constant battle. With them, you will experience something deeper, an ease, a sense of belonging, a connection that doesn't require you to sacrifice who you are. And that is how you know. Something that Jung considered essential for emotional well-being is harmony. But there is something even deeper. Jung believed that true connection with another human being happens when our souls recognize each other. This may sound mystical, but in reality, it makes perfect sense. Throughout our lives, we accumulate experiences, wounds, and lessons. Often, without even realizing it, we seek in others something that helps us heal. If someone enters your life and awakens a sense of growth and expansion within you, if they inspire you to be more of yourself rather than shrink to fit in, that is a sign that something meaningful is happening. However, this does not necessarily mean that person is meant to stay forever. Some connections are meant to accompany us for a while before continuing on their own path. But while they are in our lives, their presence leaves an impact that goes beyond words. On the other hand, if you constantly find yourself in relationships where you feel the need to prove your worth, where the fear of abandonment or rejection dictates your actions, then it is time to ask yourself, what part of me needs to be healed? Are you choosing these relationships out of self-love, or are they rooted in the fear of being alone? Jung believed that loneliness is not something to be feared, but rather a sacred space where we can meet ourselves. When you learn to be at peace with who you are, you stop desperately searching for someone else to fill your voids. And it is at that moment, when you are no longer looking for someone to complete you, that the most authentic relationships begin to appear. The secret is not in finding the right person. The real secret is becoming the most authentic version of yourself. Because when you do that, the right connections will emerge naturally. You won't need to force anything. You won't need to convince anyone that you are worthy of love. You simply are. And that is enough. If you have ever felt that someone entered your life at just the right moment, that their presence brought clarity, peace, or even the necessary challenge to push you toward growth, do not ignore it. Life is full of synchronicities, of signs that guide us if we learn to listen. But the key lies in introspection, in knowing yourself, in understanding your patterns, in recognizing what you are truly looking for in a relationship, and most importantly, in having the courage to let go of what no longer resonates with you. Carl Jung taught us that the reality we experience is a reflection of our internal world. If you want to attract the right person, you must first become the right person for yourself. The relationships we experience in life are not coincidences. Jung believed that everything that happens in our external world is a manifestation of internal processes, of aspects within us that we have yet to explore or understand. If you constantly find yourself in relationships that make you feel anxious, insecure, or empty, it is time to ask yourself, what part of my own psyche is attracting this experience? This is not magic, nor blind fate. It is the reflection of your internal world. If deep down you feel that you are not enough, you are likely to engage with people who reinforce that belief. Not because they are bad people, but because your unconscious mind seeks to confirm what it already believes to be true. The key to breaking this cycle is awareness. When you begin to recognize these patterns and understand that your relationships are mirroring your inner beliefs, you gain the power to change them. You no longer seek love to fill a void, but rather to share the love that already exists within you. And when you operate from that place, the people who enter your life will reflect that same energy back to you. So, ask yourself, am I choosing love from a place of wholeness or from a place of fear? Because the answer to that question will determine the quality of every connection you experience from this moment on. Jung explained this through the concept of projection. When we are not aware of certain aspects of our personality, we project them onto others, seeing in them what is actually a part of us. Perhaps you have found yourself in a relationship where you feel unappreciated, where the other person seems to take you for granted, demands too much from you, or simply does not truly see you. It is frustrating, even painful. But if you take a step back and observe with honesty, you might ask yourself, am I seeing in this person the reflection of something within me? Deep down, is it me who does not value myself enough? The unconscious acts in mysterious ways, but it always has a purpose: to make you aware of what you need to integrate. If you have gone through relationships where you have felt abandoned, where you had to fight for attention or love, it is possible that there is a part of you that fears rejection. Maybe at some point, you learned that affection must be earned and not simply received naturally. When a person is truly meant for you, you will know because there will not be a constant struggle to prove your worth. You will not feel the need to prove your love, loyalty, or importance. The connection will flow effortlessly, without the silent competition for recognition or affection. It will be a genuine exchange where both of you see, accept, and support each other's growth. But to get there, you must first observe your own patterns. What kind of relationships have you attracted over time? Do patterns repeat themselves? Do experiences seem to follow the same cycle? If so, it is not because you are doomed to repeat the past, but because your unconscious is trying to show you something you need to understand. Jung spoke about the importance of making the unconscious conscious, because only then will it stop controlling your life. Until you do, you will keep calling it fate. You will keep feeling trapped in situations that seem inevitable, without realizing that you actually have the power to choose something different. Imagine you are standing in front of two doors. One of them leads to the path you have always taken, the familiar one, the one that has led you to the relationships and experiences you have had so far. The other door is unknown. It fills you with uncertainty, but also with possibilities. Most people choose the first door because even if it brings pain, it is predictable. The fear of change, of the unknown, of what could happen if you choose differently, is one of the greatest limitations of human beings. But if you truly want to attract a connection that brings you peace, you must dare to walk through the second door. You cannot keep waiting for things to change while remaining the same. You cannot desire a relationship based on love if there are still parts of you that reject that love. Jung would say that before finding the right person, you must become the person who will attract that connection. And that requires inner work, the courage to face the shadows that have led you to repeat the same stories over and over again. Take a moment, pause, and think about all the relationships that have left a mark on you. Think about the patterns that have repeated, the emotions you have felt. What message lies behind all of this? What part of you is still trying to heal through your connections with others? Because here is the key. No one can heal you. No one can fill you. No one can give you what you have not given to yourself. When the right person comes, you will know, because their presence will not bring chaos or unnecessary suffering. It will be a connection that invites you to grow without destroying you in the process. It will be someone who respects your essence, who motivates you to expand rather than shrink. But to recognize that person when they arrive, you must first make sure you are not still choosing from fear, lack, or the need for external validation. Jung taught us that the journey toward true love does not begin outside of us, it begins within. The quality of our relationships is a direct reflection of the relationship we have with ourselves. When we truly know and accept ourselves, the right connections appear effortlessly, without the need to force them. So, if you've ever asked yourself, how do I know if someone is the right one? Start by asking yourself an even more important question. Am I the right one for myself? Because only from that place of authenticity and inner clarity can you recognize in another what is truly aligned with you. There is something many people misunderstand about relationships. They are not a means to fill emotional voids. They are a mirror reflecting what we carry within. Carl Jung once said that everything we experience externally originates in our internal world. So, if you want to know whether someone is the right person for you, the first question you must ask yourself is, what am I truly looking for? Perhaps you've had the experience of meeting someone at the exact right moment, someone who seemed to have all the answers, someone whose mere presence brought you peace. But as time passed, the dynamic began to change. You started noticing attitudes that didn't quite align with the image you had formed in your mind. A subtle discomfort emerged, a feeling that something wasn't right, but you tried to ignore it. You didn't want to lose the connection. At that point, your intuition was already speaking to you. But the question is, were you listening? Jung emphasized the power of intuition as a guiding force from the unconscious. The rational mind can deceive you. It can justify the unjustifiable, find reasons to hold on to something that is not good for you. But your intuition is that inner voice that doesn't require logic to know the truth. It never lies. If you feel discomfort, if there are subtle signs telling you that something doesn't fit, pay attention. Do not ignore those sensations just because you wish reality were different. When someone is truly right for you, their presence does not create a constant internal struggle. You don't feel like you have to change who you are to be accepted, nor do you feel like you're walking on eggshells to avoid conflict. One of the greatest indicators that someone is aligned with you is a sense of peace. And here's where many people get confused. They believe that an intense relationship, full of highs and lows, extreme emotions, and dramatic moments, is the ultimate proof of love. But intensity is not the same as genuine connection. True connection manifests as peace, mutual respect, and a sense of freedom within the relationship. If you look back on your life, you'll likely remember times when you ignored your intuition. There were people who, from the very beginning, showed clear signs that they were not what you truly needed. And yet, you held on. Why? Because the fear of being alone, the longing to be loved, and the need to feel like you belong can cloud your perception. Jung would say that this is the unconscious repeating patterns, attempting to heal past wounds through new relationships. Have you ever wondered why certain people enter your life at precisely the moment you are going through a significant change? It's not a coincidence. Jung spoke of synchronicity, how the universe seems to align to bring us what we need at every moment. But synchronicity does not always bring us what we want. It brings us what we need in order to evolve. Sometimes the people who enter our lives are not the one in the romantic sense, but rather a mirror, showing us what we have yet to heal within ourselves. That is why, before asking if someone is right for you, you must ask, what is this person reflecting back to me? If their presence in your life pushes you to grow, to face your fears, to become more authentic, without feeling like you have to betray yourself, then that connection has a positive purpose. But if, on the other hand, you feel drained, constantly in conflict with yourself, filled with doubt, and in a state of emotional anxiety, that is a clear sign that this person is not aligned with your true essence. Jung teaches us that life presents us with experiences designed for our evolution, but it is up to us to recognize the signs and make decisions from a place of awareness, not fear. If you feel like you have to chase someone, like you have to constantly put in all the effort to make the relationship work, like you're walking in circles and getting nowhere, then it's time to ask yourself, am I choosing this connection out of love or out of need? True love does not require constant trials or sacrifices that make you lose yourself. A person who is truly aligned with you will never make you question your worth or put you in a position where you have to choose between being yourself and being loved. Authentic love is not a battle, nor is it an impossible puzzle to solve. It is not a game of strategies where you must calculate every move to avoid losing. Authentic love simply is. It is free. It is clear. It is sincere. If you've ever felt that peace with someone, that feeling that you can be completely yourself, without fear, without worrying that the relationship will demand you to abandon your dreams, your values, or your essence, then you have experienced what Jung would describe as a connection aligned with your deepest self. It is not dependency. It is not necessity. It is not about filling an internal void. It is simply sharing the journey with someone who resonates with the energy of who you truly are. But to reach that point, you must ask yourself an important question. Am I willing to let go of what is not meant for me? Because here's the issue. Many people say they want to find the right person, yet they are unwilling to let go of those who clearly are not. They cling, they justify, they convince themselves that with time, things will change, that the other person just needs to understand them better, that everything will improve. And in that process, they lose years of their lives holding on to something that does not allow them to grow. Jung would remind us that nothing can grow in barren soil. If you continue to nourish relationships that only bring you pain, all you are doing is perpetuating the cycle. But the moment you choose yourself, when you decide to let go of what does not allow you to be authentic, when you take the risk of being alone rather than settling for less than you deserve, something incredible happens. The right people start to appear in your life. And it's not magic. It's not coincidence. It is simply that now you are vibrating at a different frequency, one that attracts those who are truly aligned with you. If, at this moment, you are questioning whether someone in your life is the right person, pause for a moment and listen to yourself. Do not think about the fear of losing them. Do not think about the fear of being alone. Do not think about the idea of what could have been. Simply feel. Does this person bring you peace? Do you feel free in their presence? Do they inspire you to grow? Or on the contrary, do you feel like you constantly have to put in effort just to make the relationship work? Love is not a battlefield. It should not feel like a war where every day is another struggle to be seen, to be loved, to be valued. When someone is truly meant for you, you will know. Not because your mind will analyze it and approve, but because your soul will feel it. It will be something that needs no explanation, something that simply is. And if, at this moment, you feel like that person has not yet arrived in your life, do not despair. Do not search outside for what you have yet to find within yourself. Because the moment you truly choose yourself, when you value yourself without needing someone else to validate you, when you stop looking outward for what only you can find inside, then, and only then, will true love appear naturally. Jung taught us that the answers to our deepest questions are not found in the external world, but in the journey inward. And when you decide to embark on that journey, when you dare to face yourself, everything in your life begins to align. And when the right person arrives, you will know. Not because they check off a list of requirements, not because your mind will analyze and approve them, but because your being will feel it deeply, without a single doubt. When you meet the right person, it will not be a moment of uncontrollable euphoria or overwhelming obsession. It will be calm. It will be a silent certainty that settles in your heart without the need for explanations. You will not feel indebted. You will not feel insecure. You will not feel like you have to perform emotional acrobatics to keep the connection alive. It will simply flow. And most importantly, you will feel more like yourself than ever before. Carl Jung taught us that true love is not about dependency or possession. It is about connection, mutual growth, and respect for each other's individuality. The right person will never ask you to sacrifice your dreams or change your essence just to fit into their world. Instead, they will uplift you, challenge you in a healthy way, and walk beside you without the fear of abandonment looming over every conversation. In a truly meaningful relationship, there are no power games, no constant battles for attention or validation. Instead, there is presence, real, unwavering presence. There is trust, a deep sense of belonging, and an unspoken understanding that you are valued just as you are. But here's something crucial to remember. The right person can only appear in your life when you have done the inner work to recognize them. If you remain trapped in toxic cycles, if you fear being alone, if you seek love from a place of emotional emptiness, chances are you will continue to attract relationships that reinforce those fears. Because life does not give you what you want. It gives you what you are capable of holding emotionally. The most profound truth about love is this: the healthier your relationship with yourself, the clearer it becomes who is right for you. When you stop looking for someone to complete you and instead focus on becoming whole within yourself, you attract relationships that are based on true connection rather than need. So, the next time you wonder if someone is the right one for you, pause, take a step back, and first ask yourself, am I being the right one for myself? Because when you are, the right person will not need to be searched for. They will recognize you just as easily as you recognize them. So, if right now you feel like you haven't yet found that person, don't see it as a problem. See it as an opportunity to strengthen the most important relationship you will ever have, the one with yourself. This is your chance to become the most authentic version of who you are, to release everything that no longer resonates with you, and to open yourself up to what you truly deserve. And when that person finally arrives, you will know. There will be no constant anxiety, no lingering doubts. You won't feel the need to force anything. The connection will feel natural, effortless, like coming home. In the midst of all the chaos in the world, you will have found a space where you can simply be. And that is love in its purest form. If this message resonates with you, if at any point these words have described your own story, I invite you to share your experience in the comments. Have you found that person, or are you still on the journey of discovering yourself? Your words might be the light someone else needs to read today. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, send them this video. Help me reach more people who need to understand that true love is not suffering. that healthy relationships do not require impossible sacrifices, and that the most important connection we can nurture is the one we have with ourselves. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next videos. Here, we dive deep into the human mind, the power of the unconscious, and the way our relationships reflect our personal growth. And if you'd like me to talk about a specific topic in the future, let me know in the comments. Your voice is an essential part of this community. Thank you for being here, for sharing this journey of self-discovery, and for being part of this space where growth, introspection, and personal evolution take center stage. Remember, when the right person comes along, you will know. But before you find them, make sure you have already found yourself. See you in the next video.